In this video, we're going to take a look at how to create fades in Pro Tools. So here we are in the edit window, and notice that I have my Smart tool on. And so with that on, I have access to this fade tool. If I go to the top right-hand corner of a clip, I can click and drag and create a fade out. If I go to the top left-hand corner of a clip, I can create a fade in. For both of these, if I hover my fade tool back inside the fade here, I can click and drag to adjust the shape of the fade. And this can give you more musical results than just the plain linear fade. It really depends on the context. Now I can just hit delete to delete that fade, and it doesn't delete the underlying audio. Now if I go to the boundary of two clips and I go to the bottom, this turns into the crossfade tool, and I can click and drag and create a crossfade. But there's a problem with this crossfade. I'll show you when I let go here. It didn't do anything. And the reason for that is because it lacks audio handles. A handle is hidden underlying audio that you don't see that is there, and that's what Pro Tools uses to create the fades. So if I move a clip and then trim it, this audio is still there, and it can be used to create a fade. I'll trim this also so that this has a handle now. Now, if I overlap those and again go to the clip boundary at the bottom, I can create that fade, and there it is. So it really needs audio handles in order to create the fade. It's not magic. If I hover my crossfade tool in the middle here, I can click and drag and change the shape. Notice that you cannot fade MIDI. MIDI is not audio, and so I can't fade it. If you want to fade MIDI, you have to use volume automation. That's for another video. So let's take a look at another way to create fades, and that's with the edit menu. So if I go to the edit menu and I go all the way to the bottom, I can choose create fade or press Command F, and that's what I use all the time, is Command F. So here I can actually highlight a bunch of clips, hit Command F, and the batch fades box pops up. Here you have access to the fade in, fade out, and crossfade properties for all those clips all at once, and I can choose different shapes, right, for each side or whatever. And I'm just going to leave those on standard for now. And then I'll do another video about equal power and equal gain. They are slightly different. You can see that one has a curve and one is linear. And then there are some other options down here that you can check out. For instance, you can obviously create new fades, but you can also adjust existing fades, which you may or may not want to do. And where will the placement be? Is it going to be right in the middle of the cut? Is it going to be on the front or the back of the cut? There's a lot of options there. This is probably the most important option in my mind, is how long you want the fade to be. So there are two kinds of fades, right? There's like a fade where you are like fading out the music. And if you have a single music track, you could use a fade like this instead of volume automation to fade out the music. But most of the time in Pro Tools, the fades we make are very, very small. They're used when cutting digital audio to avoid having pops and clicks when the waveform is interrupted, or they're used in very subtle ways. So 5 millisecond, 10 millisecond fades, those are more common than the long fades. And so I can set those to 10 milliseconds, hit OK, and then you might get this dialog box. This is popping up because I have some clip boundaries where there's no underlying audio handles. You can hit adjust bounds, and Pro Tools does a pretty good job of, helping you out there. So let's take a look at what happened when I did that. So look, it created a tiny little fade. And if I scroll over here, you will see a tiny little fade out right there. None of these clips were touching, so it didn't make a crossfade, but it did create the fade ins and fade outs.